the bright lights of the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Studio glimmered like a calm sea, hiding the turbulence underneath. Cameras rolled, audience clapping, the stage meticulously arranged as if nothing could go wrong. But backstage, things were anything but calm. Trevor Noah, known for his sharp wit and unflinching honesty, sat in his dressing room, staring at his reflection in the mirror. His usual relaxed demeanor was replaced with a rare tension. Earlier that morning, Trevor had received a cryptic text from an anonymous source warning him about the show. "Don't trust the script," it read. He chuckled at first, brushing it off as a prank, but a small knot of unease had settled in his stomach. Something about the phrasing felt off, too deliberate, too pointed. Stephen Colbert, on the other hand, was in his own pre-show routine. He paced behind the desk, rehearsing jokes, sipping coffee, and occasionally throwing sarcastic glances at the production crew. There had always been a friendly rivalry between him and Trevor, but recently their exchanges had taken a sharper edge. The news cycle had been brutal, covering politically charged issues, and both comedians had strong conflicting opinions. Tonight's show was supposed to be lighthearted, but as the crew prepared, the tension was palpable. Trevor's assistant knocked on the door. "You're on in 5, she said, her voice unusually cautious. Trevor nodded, adjusting his suit, but his mind was racing. He had glimpsed the lineup, the carefully crafted questions that Colbert intended to ask. Some of them felt like traps, questions designed not to spark humor, but to provoke outrage. As he walked toward the stage, the roar of the live audience hit him like a wave. He smiled, waved, and sat down across from Stephen. But behind the smiles and greetings, an undercurrent of friction crackled. Stephen leaned in, launching into the first topic, current politics. At first it was standard fare, but then Colbert's tone shifted. The questions grew pointed, insinuations creeping in between the jokes. Trevor felt his pulse quicken. He tried to answer diplomatically, but every word seemed twisted, reframed to corner him. The audience laughed at what they assumed was playful banter. But Trevor felt the trap tightening. His internal monologue ran like a ticker tape. This isn't a conversation. This is a test. But who's setting it? And why now? By the time Colbert hinted at Trevor's past controversial joke, Trevor realized he wasn't just being teased, he was being provoked. The calm, calculated precision behind the questions indicated someone had fed Colbert information designed to unsettle him. Trevor's eyes flicked toward the side stage, scanning the production crew. Was someone signaling? Whispering instructions? His instincts screamed that this wasn't coincidental. Sweat formed on his brow. The applause felt deafening, the lights too harsh. And then, in a moment of clarity, he knew. If he played along, he'd be painted as defensive, irrational or worse, complicit. He had to make a choice, and fast. Become weapons. Colbert leaned back, a sly grin playing on his face. "So, Trevor, you've been quite vocal about recent events. Some say you might be misrepresenting facts. How do you respond?" The audience erupted into laughter. But Trevor's mind was sharpening into laser focus. He realized this was no longer just a playful debate. It was a trap designed to provoke him into saying something that could go viral for all the wrong reasons. Trevor's voice was steady, but his eyes burned with intensity. "Stephen, I appreciate the question, but I feel like we're steering the conversation into territory that isn't really fair. Let's not mischaracterize things for the sake of laughs, shall we?" The grin on Colbert's face didn't falter. In fact, it widened. "Oh, come on, Trevor. It's just a joke. We're all friends here. Don't take it so seriously." But Trevor could see the subtle smirk. He knew when a joke was a joke, and he knew when it was a loaded question. This wasn't friendship. This was strategy. And the more Colbert pressed, the more the situation escalated. "Stephen," Trevor said, his voice calm but firm, "I think we might have crossed the line from humor into personal territory. I came here to share perspectives, not to be cornered." The audience began murmuring, sensing a shift in energy. Laughter faded, replaced by an awkward tension. Colbert leaned closer, lowering his voice, almost conspiratorial. "Trevor, you don't get it. Everyone out there loves drama. The cameras love drama. Just play along." Trevor's jaw tightened. He realized the entire segment had been constructed for viral outrage. And that's when it hit him. This wasn't just Colbert. Someone was orchestrating this behind the scenes. manipulating the questions, nudging the conversation. He could feel the eyes of the audience, the crew, the producers, all complicit in the unfolding spectacle. With a sudden, decisive motion, Trevor stood up. The studio lights reflected off his suit like a spotlight on a storm. "No," he said firmly, voice echoing through the silent set. "I'm not part of this." Gasps rippled through the audience. Colbert froze mid-sentence, eyes wide. "Trevor, wait!" Trevor didn't wait. He strode toward the exit, each step deliberate, leaving stunned silence behind him. The cameras tried to follow, capturing every second of the unfolding drama. Backstage production assistants whispered in panic, but Trevor didn't turn back. The confrontation had ended, not with words, but with action. Outside, the chill night air hit him like a cleansing wave. He felt the tension leave his shoulders, but knew the storm had only begun. The headlines would come tomorrow. Trevor Noah storms off Colbert show. But Trevor had no regrets. In that moment, he had reclaimed his narrative, refusing to be a pawn in someone else's story. The next morning, the internet exploded. Clips of the confrontation circulated wildly, dissected by commentators, fans, and trolls alike. Social media lit up with speculation. Who had orchestrated the questions? Was it a producer, a network executive, or someone far more sinister? Trevor, meanwhile, remained composed. He issued a statement, carefully worded, acknowledging the heated exchange without revealing the behind-the-scenes machinations. "I value honest conversation and humor," he wrote. "But I will not participate in setups designed to mislead or provoke. Tonight I chose integrity over spectacle." Meanwhile, investigators, both formal and informal, began digging. Anonymous leaks suggested that Colbert's segment had been subtly influenced by external forces. Messages, edited scripts, whispered instructions. They all pointed to an organized effort to manufacture conflict. Trevor's instincts had been right all along. Stephen Colbert, for his part, remained publicly diplomatic. Behind the scenes, though, he was unsettled. He had felt the shift in energy, the undeniable tension, and he wondered, had he been manipulated too? Or had Trevor simply outmaneuvered him in real time? Trevor, sitting in a quiet cafe far from the glare of the cameras, reflected on the surreal events. The adrenaline had faded, leaving a clarity that was almost eerie. He realized that in the world of live television, control was often an illusion. Scripts, cameras, even audience reactions could be subtly engineered. The only thing he truly controlled was his response, and tonight, he had chosen freedom over compliance. But the mystery lingered. Who had orchestrated the segment? Was it someone looking for ratings, revenge, or something even darker? Trevor knew the answers would surface eventually, but for now, the suspense hung thick in the air, like a storm waiting to break. And in that quiet moment, he smiled. He had survived the trap, and the story, his story, was only just beginning. The screen faded to black, leaving viewers on edge, hungry for answers and wondering, in the world of comedy and celebrity, how much is real, and how much is carefully constructed drama?